Sara, and I'm going to be reading a short story that I wrote. This put it all on hold for a second. It stopped the media, the flashing lights, the makeup artists, the dietitians, the script, and the gossip. The letter put all of that on hold, and, for the moment, Chloe Montgomery forgot the still damp nail polish on her fingers, and the vibrant makeup on her face, and the way her 6-inch heels pressed against her feet. And she remembered the girl she had been as she read her father's words. Chloe, somewhere in the back of your mind, I know you remember us. We tried to give you what you needed, tried to love you like you wanted us to. And your mom and I love you, or else we wouldn't have bought that plane ticket. But this, 3 years of silence, this isn't what we paid for. I know you'll realize someday that fame is an impossible place to live, and you want to move out. Home will always be waiting for you. Love, Dad. Her father's words faded into the background, and so did the girl she'd been 3 years ago in Ohio. This life, this celebrity, was who she was now. Fame was where she lived. She was never leaving. 5 years later, it got worse every single day. Chloe felt like she was losing ground, like she couldn't beat the battle to overcome fame and popularity. The movie industry was constantly bringing in new actors, and it seemed she was at the bottom of the barrel, only getting scraped up when the well of talent went dry. And as she lost her grip, she fought back with drugs and alcohol, let people exploit her. Chloe tried whatever she could to keep things under control, but nothing was enough. She took pills without knowing what they were for. Life was getting harder, and she couldn't lose the fight now, not when she had come so far. Without fame, she would be worthless, wouldn't she? There was no answer to her question, and as she zoned back in, she tried to focus. Maybe it was her imagination, but the flashing camera lights seemed to be brighter than ever, and she had to blink several times until her vision cleared. As she made her way up to the sidewalk and into her apartment building, she heard people yelling at her, asking her to sign their posters, begging her to just look at them. Chloe didn't even bother to stop. The managers had ceased to be lenient, stopped letting her sign people's autographs because they said it was bad for her image. Their voice had been strict. It makes you look like an amateur. You do what we want, how we want it, and where we want it, understand? Your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they are ours. Just like that contract you signed is ours. But she'd begun, and they'd cut her off. You have no personal life. Don't feel sorry for those people. They're nothing compared to you. The manager met her eyes as he continued. You belong to us. Just because you've been playing this game longer than most doesn't mean we can't kick you out. Fear had washed over her as he continued. 8 years, Chloe. Long time. And if you play it right, I can make you go a lot further. He'd leaned forward and clasped his hands together. You were gold in our hands. The thought made her sick. Go further? She couldn't possibly go further, could she? She had everything. She was gold. In the silence, she realized she'd just become a money pool for them, a lottery ticket that could act. She lived in the status of her BMW, the designer clothes, exotic perfume, and the diet she carried out. Chloe admitted to herself as she climbed into her king-size bed that she had basked in the gossip and the popularity that her managers had given her. She'd fallen for it. The logistics of fame were simple. It made up everything, yet somehow took everything. Fame was her address, her house. It paid for her life and branded everything she had. Pulling the covers up to her chin like she'd done when she lived at home, she tried to keep the world from creeping in around her. Chloe had never thought about it so intently before, the way her manager owned her. And in the quiet, her position suddenly disgusted her. Here and now, as she stared up at the ceiling, it flashed before her eyes, the trap, the walls, the rules of the game. 20 minutes ago, Chloe had been free, or that's what she thought, but now, everywhere she looked, the barriers and restrictions were evident. Fame was like a tattoo, red and new and exotic at first, but after a while it seemed old, backwashed, and foolish. The shine of recognition wore out to addictions and depression. The game of fame could not be won. She was sure of that. But Chloe knew she could outsmart it, if she tried hard enough. Remorse and regret pulled at her heart as she found the letter her father had written to her so long ago. Rereading it quickly, she realized he was right. Fame was an impossible place to live. I've been such a fool, she thought as she closed her eyes. Status and recognition had paid for her title, and she couldn't get rid of him. They would stick to her like glue until the day she died. She could fade out of the picture, sure, but she would never be free. Fame had emptied her life and made her prisoner. Chloe would break these chains because she had forged them. Getting up and fumbling around, she walked over to her desk and grabbed a pen and paper. The pen shook in her hand as she began to write. Dad, you were right. Fame is an impossible place to live. It is raised on a pedestal and respected like a person, though all it does is strip you of your sense of placement in the world. It is an overrated game. Celebrities try to gain it all, and just when they think they have, they want more. I expect we forge our chain links one at a time to the prison of fame. We bind ourselves to it a little more each day. You once said there would always be a place at home for me if I ever realized how stupid I'd been. I'd like to come back, see the world I miss, and gain the memories back before they're lost forever. Love, Chloe. She signed her name and set the pen down with a heavy hand. Fame was an ugly address, and this was the first step in escaping it. Thank you.